Hello, my name is Luminara Serdar. My website is Autism Transformed, and we're having a brief webinar today with Anna Leela Jackson and myself, who co-created the Autism Expressions card deck. I want to tell you a little bit about how these came into creation, and you can hear Anna Leela's story about that, about her process, and then how to use them. What I want to do is first show you that the card deck it's like a deck of cards. There's 54 cards, and there are two introductory cards. This is the one that talks about what it is and how to use it, and then there's one that has a bio of myself and Anna Leela. And then beyond that, there's this whole deck of different cards with different art that have expressions on them that your children might actually be wanting to tell you, but can't because they're low verbal or non-verbal, and they just don't have that expression ability to come out verbally. I also wanted to show you the back side of the card. It's kind of a universe, kind of a cosmic scene with some kids holding hands. It's easier to see when you've got the card in front of you. Might be difficult to see here. And the purpose of these is really to give your kids a voice. The intention of these cards is not to be used like a speech therapist or an ABA therapist would use to teach your child a color or an emotion. It's not that at all. These are a little bit more complex, the messages in them. I want to tell you a little bit about the inspiration for these, and many of you may have read this book. I read this book called Ido in Autism Land, and it's written by a young man named Ido Kadar. And in this book, he was 12 when he wrote the book, and they're more like short vignettes of different times in his life, different experiences he had. For example, there's one where he's working with his ABA therapist, and the therapist asks him to point to the green card, and there's a green card and a red card there. And in his mind, he knows exactly where the green card is, but his body, his hand goes to the red card because of his motor control issues. So there's a lot of these vignettes in there, and that was a huge inspiration for, wow, what if parents and teachers and therapists really understood what was going on in the brains of these kids and the intelligence they have, and maybe what they really want to express more to us, but they can't because they're limited in that ability to express. So thank you, Ido. You are a big inspiration to me. And I would like to ask Anna Leela. So that's a little bit of my process, how they came to be. I read this book, I was interested, I got this message that, hey, make these expression cards so that kids are better understood. And I would mostly go into a meditative state, and then the different messages would come. That was sort of my process around this, and now I'd love to hear from Anna Leela, who is the artist who made all the beautiful artwork, what your process was, what inspired you, how these came to be from your perspective, because this was very much a collaborative process. I would give Anna Leela the sayings that came through, and then she would create the characters. So you want to tell us a little bit about that for you?
Sure. Thank you so much, Luminara. Just want to start by saying how grateful I am to be here and to share about this project. It's been such a beautiful journey. I really took this project very sincerely and spent a lot of time contemplating and being with each of the cards and going on a journey with it. Spent a lot of time in the forest, sitting with each of the cards and really feeling into the medicine of them and how they apply to my life and different ways that I can relate, and different images and experiences and visions came through for each of the cards and seemed to manifest in real life experiences as well that were happening in tandem with the creation of each of the cards. And it was very rich and deep journeying work. Each of the cards is very unique and is kind of like an entity unto its own. I used mixed mediums. I used acrylic and watercolor and colored pencil and some collage elements, and really was given so much creative freedom by Luminara to really explore all different ways of visual interpretation of each of the concepts. And it was just a fulfilling and super rich experience to really connect to each of the essence of every being that was coming through, that had something to share with each of the cards, and just like the pleasing experience of seeing them all kind of becoming a family of diversity, but there seems to be this kind of web connecting them all, and it's really sweet to see them as a finished product all together and notice how they all seem to work together in these different ways.
Great. Thank you. What I'd like to do is to show some of the cards, because you just talked about the art and the medium and the beings. Not all of them are actual children. Some of them are little like stuffed animal type characters. This one is a mix. And it says, please have hope for me. I'm in here, even if I can't show you right now. So just to let a parent or a sibling or a teacher know that, wow, I'm really here. And maybe you don't see me, but I'm in here. This one I kind of talked about with the Edo and Autism Land story. It says, I hear you, but cannot make my body work the way I want to. And it's a little girl who can't choose the right card, what she wants to choose in her mind. And if you notice, there's lots of ethnicities, boys and girls, little characters. Here's a character one. And this is kind of a school situation, so teachers might be able to relate to this, or aides or OTs. Please be patient with me right now. I'm doing the best my body is able to right now. So it's like a child, little bunny child, sitting in a chair, trying to sit in a chair, but really not comfortable sitting in the chair and needing to move. And this is one I bet many, many people can relate to. I'm so sensitive that I feel everyone's energies and emotions, and it's a lot to deal with. And then this is kind of a teenagery one, but it could be any age, really. And then these cards can apply to anyone at any age. I feel so alone, but I really want to be in connection with you. And if we remember all our teenage days, we could probably remember feeling like that once or twice, at least. And then this one, I feel trapped within this body. Know that I am here. So this might be an expression of a child who, I'm going to show that again. This might be an expression of a child who just feels like their body doesn't work the way they want it to, but their intelligence is fully there, and they see everything and they hear everything, and they probably hear more than we hear. Here's one. Look deep inside me to see my intelligence. It is there. So you can kind of see a theme developing a little bit of, wow, you know, there's really this amazing, intelligent person on the inside of the body, and we're not always seeing that as the person who's observing them. I want to get one that's a little bit more kind of concrete and relevant to probably a lot of parents out there. My body is confused about what food it likes. Things don't taste the same for me as for you. And it's a little kid who's trying to eat a piece of broccoli, but it actually, in his mind, kind of tastes like a dirty sock. Not so pleasant. Okay, take a break from showing cards. Is there anything that you want to add about anything that you already said, Annalila?
Sure. Yeah, I want to add that I feel like, as well as being a tool for individuals to share their inner experience, it also is a tool for deepening our empathy and our capacity to step into the realm of another person's inner world. And I feel like that is always something that I seek and really care a lot about exploring and expanding in my perception. And as somebody that has been diagnosed on the spectrum and who experiences processing differences and synesthesia and other ways of translating information and stimulation, I just feel so grateful to have a voice in this field and to be able to share my journey through this work, through this expression, and just feel incredibly grateful and hopeful that other people can derive benefit and experience connection and beauty through this work. So thank you.
Thank you. Must have been kind of healing to bring these characters forth and also feel that what could have happened to you when you're a kid or what could happen now as far as your processing or your people misunderstanding you or something like that.
Mm. Absolutely. I had this profound sense of validation, of feeling seen. Um, and yeah, there was a lot of emotion that came with that, a lot of tears, a lot of feeling of release and relaxation of places of tension that I've been holding that I didn't even realize that I've been holding. So yeah, just generally a really deeply enriching experience.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that, because what you just said, I think, can be mirrored in the kids when they feel more understood, and that tension and that relaxation, that release of the tension and the relaxation can come, just like you said, you didn't even know you were holding it. And so I think just as a human, feeling more understood, getting more empathy, and just being seen in a different way can be super healing and relaxing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Abs-
So what I want to say is how there's a couple different ways that these cards can be used. And I've heard one way from someone who's using them that you can just lay them out, all the cards, just like this. You can just lay them out on the table, spread them out, and have your child pick one. And maybe, you know, they might be attracted to a certain color or a certain scene or one of the little animals. For instance, this might really appeal to them, this picture of the child sitting there in his own world and the mom looking on, and it says, "Come play with me, join me in my world, even if it seems strange to you." Because that's his world, whether it's a fantasy make-believe world or some energetic world they're in. And that one was really very much inspired by the Sunrise program, which, if people don't know, is a program, part of it is about joining your child in their world. And if there's so much stimulation coming at them and they're like just sitting there rocking or something, that's kind of their meditative place where the stimulation isn't so big for them. And so if you join them and rock and be in their meditative state with them, then they can actually have a connection. It's easier for them to have a connection. Here's another one, a little girl saying, "I feel overwhelmed right now." And I'm sure a lot of our kids feel this. And if your child's working with an occupational therapist or an ABA, applied behavioral analysis therapist, or a teacher, and they chose this card, wouldn't that make you feel relieved that, wow, this is just too much for me right now? I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm going to show a few more. This one says, "When you feel stressed, I feel stressed. I feel what you feel because I'm so sensitive, whether I outwardly show it or not. Please be gentle with me." And I think this can go for a lot of people, not just those on the spectrum. And here's a big one that I think we do a lot with kids. I remember my parents and teachers and older mentors doing this around me. says, please don't talk about me as if I'm not here. I can read the energy of what you say and I understand. So I think some kids hear the words, even though we think they're not hearing us. And some people feel the energy or the tone of the frustration or whatever it might be. Another way to use the cards is you can have them all on the back side. And since we just talked about kids' energy being very sensitive, you can just choose, you can have them just choose one, whatever their energy is kind of resonating with. And the one that I've just chosen, it's kind of a long one. It says, I feel connected to the universe and all there is. It's beautiful and accepting. So sometimes I don't want to be here in this physical world. I think we might all think of times when we probably weren't comfortable and didn't want to be here in this physical world. As I said, these are for all ages. I have clients who are very young children, and I have clients who are older adults. And I think putting these out for any age, even kids not on the spectrum, even kids with ADHD or sensory processing disorder, or as I said, not even on the spectrum, can be super helpful because sometimes we don't always know how to express in language and in words. It can be an impediment. And sometimes just showing a picture or an action might be easier. It might be less emotional. It might be a relief to not have to speak it. I see you're nodding along with me. Anything you want to add to that?
Mm. Yeah, I think you definitely covered it. Yeah, I have nothing to add. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, I want to encourage parents to get these cards, try them out. I think they can be used with siblings, and again, you can take them in with your doctor visit, you can take them to the therapist, or the therapist can use them. You can give them to the teachers at school. I bet many other children besides special needs children would want to use these at school. I encourage you to sit with their beauty and their art and the characters, see which ones you relate to, which ones your kids relate to. I just want to say one more thing, and that is when I first got these and I brought these to a conference and I had like 3 moms choose a card for their child. And they all chose exactly what they thought their child was going through. I remember one of them was that little girl saying, I feel overwhelmed. And the mom was, before she picked the card, she was just telling me about how her daughter was having a really hard time and feeling very overwhelmed with things. And then the other 2 moms, I don't remember their cards, but they were like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what he would tell me. So that was kind of cool. You can purchase these on my website, and the link is right here where this video is. And if you're not watching this video on my website, you can go to autismtransformed.com, and under resources, you'll find the link for the Autism Expressions card deck. I wish you really well in using them, and I really want to thank Anna Lila for her part. I think these wouldn't have happened without her, and I'm so grateful that you are the artist you are and that you brought all these children and characters through into the cards. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Luminar. It's been such a pleasure to collaborate with you.
Aho.